Again, Tuesday, June 24th, 2025, present with us now with the GIS is Melissa Morris, who's the director. Melissa, do you want to lead us off on what's going on in your department, please?
Well, it's mostly NG 911 right now. So I'm on my third iteration of the data. So we run it through validations through a state portal. There's 3 ways the data can fail, which means I have to go through 3 times to make sure I've caught everything. So I'm about halfway through the 3rd iteration. And then, so I'll run one more validation on this, and hopefully I will finally be done. And so it's basically what I'm doing is I'm going through every road segment. Our roads are segmented intersection to intersection. So I have to go through every road segment, compare it to the MSAG record, and make sure it's correct. So, or it'll fail the validation. So that's mostly what I'm doing. And I would be so glad to get it done.
What part, what is the state library doing? Didn't they give them a bunch of money
Yeah.
to do something with this?
So they put together the tools that we use for validation. And I should mention, I'm only validating road names right now. I still have to do road segments. So I still have to validate addresses. And this 3rd validation, basically what we were doing was they run the validation, tells me where my data fails. But then I realized there's a whole lot of stuff in our MSAG that should have been cleaned out, road names that have changed, that kind of stuff that never got done. So I'm actually doing this 3rd one differently so that I have a list of, rather than comparing the county road segments to the MSAG to see where they fail, is I'm comparing the MSAG against county roads so I can see when there's stuff in MSAG that doesn't need to be there anymore. And it's records from like 2002. It's from way back. It's from the very first iteration of MSAG, basically, which I wasn't here for, but I think you were.
I was.
Yeah. So.
Well, kind of.
Yeah. So.
Actually, I was gone when they started it.
Okay.
But.
Yeah. So, it's just really tedious data crunching.
I think you and I were the first ones to actually make it work and figure it out. It was kind of a train wreck for a while.
I was kind of horrified when I got in there and when I started actually looking at the MSAG and comparing it. Yeah. But the biggest problem was like when Lonnie and Carl initially put address ranges in there, Carl made the range, he'd look at a road and say, well, this road might get extended. So I'm going to make the range 1 to 100. I'm going to make it 1 to 300. So all those come back. Now they have to be exact. I mean, it worked when he first put it in, but now that we're up to the NG 911, those are coming back as invalid, and it screws up the geocoding. So when the guys, this is kind of for Bob and Corey, when the guys are in their cruisers driving down a road, it looks at the MSAG, and if the range is 1 to 200, when you're in the middle of the road, it's going to tell you you're at 100. But if your range is really 1 to 50, it's telling you you're at 100 when you should be at 25. So that's why that piece needs to work, because it's how the maps function in the cars, which when Craig and I first started doing this, there were no maps in the cars. So
right. Paper maps.
Yeah,
Paper
yeah.
maps, yeah.
And then we had I started doing the bundled maps that ran on there when they first got their computers in the cars. I did like a standalone mapping app that ran in the cars, but it did not have GPS. So it was good for reference, but it didn't tell people where they were. So, yeah.
Yeah. NG 911 should tell, if you call 911 from a cell phone, it should tell them almost exactly where you're at.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of play in it, but it's pretty close.
Well, and the bulk of this, so the MSAG is actually all landlines. So eventually that's gonna
Dog calling.
yeah, Um, yeah. And if you hit the doorbell on my back door over there, it paws like a sheep,
Good to know.
so you have to entertain yourself. So yeah, so once all the landlines, and every year we have fewer and fewer landlines. So I don't know what the MSAG is gonna look like once landlines are all gone. I mean, we have tons of roads that have no landlines on them, and they're still in the MSAG, and they still have to be validated. So, but the good thing, what's really cool now is once we get all this stuff going, and this isn't gonna be like this year, but eventually, I don't think I'm gonna have to send updates into Central Square, because when I upload our data, it's going into the state repository. So those guys ought to be able to go pull whatever they want from that repository. So, and the one thing I'm really hoping to implement with NG 911, I think there's going to be a way that I can attach photos to specific addresses, which would really help responders like in our trailer courts.
Yep.
So,
Because the
that's,
address is the trailer court itself, not the number of the trailer.
yeah, well, we do have all the units in Boulder now are numbered. So the
Good.
city, yeah, the city and city worked with the actual trailer court owners. And I gave everybody number signs, and we've got them all in, but I still think it'd help if we had a photo of the trailer. So, I mean, I know when people are looking for stuff and they call me and they're like, where is this? Being able to drop into Google Street View and see that, I can tell them you're looking for a white house with green trim. And, but Google Street View doesn't cover everything. So it doesn't cover the rural stuff at all. But so I think some of these ones that, people repeatedly get confused on, be nice to add those photos. Of course, then you got to keep the photos up to date,
Yep,
but
somebody paints their house.
yeah, yeah. So the nice thing is, I have a really good relationship with UPS drivers. I will give them free maps whenever they ask. And they will tell people who don't have address numbers that, hey, you can get a free address number from the county and it'll really help you get your packages, which people care about more than the ambulance finding them.
Most of the
So that,
time.
yeah, a bunch of the title companies know that. Some of the realtors, I just try to work with everybody. Oh, and our census guy is really good about bringing me bad addresses. Which reminds me, we need to talk about your mine.
Like Earth Angel Road, that one's a mess.
It is, yeah. So we got to, Chuck called me and said, hey, you might want to know. So, yeah, so I have people that are working, people that are out and about all the time that are a big part of validating things. So we're getting numbers and getting number signs up. And NG 911, unlike our other upgrades in the past where it was this intense amount of work and then you were done, NG 911 is probably going to constantly have maintenance. It's not going to go away. It's not a one and done like the older systems were. So, but it has a lot more information in there too, which is part of what the maintenance. And so that's my world right now. And that and giving out addresses, pretty much it. So.
Good.
Yeah. So then we have to do validations like on all the fire districts and the ambulance districts. And I ran across a couple of things like we'll have 3/4 of a road will be in one ambulance district and the last house is outside of it. And so what I've been doing is going to the ambulance district and saying, I know you're going to respond to this. So even though technically this is outside in the NG 911, I'm going to show you as the responder. So, and then what Doug would like to do, I really haven't had a chance to tackle this yet. Everybody that's outside of a fire district, he wants something on the map that says, he got with the different fire districts. They've split up everything that's outside of a fire district that they're gonna cover, and he wants it on the map, but he wants it to pop up in dispatch on the when they get the pop-up on a particular address. And I don't have a way to do that without adding ESNs for all those
all of them.
outlying addresses. And what the state is telling me is that within a couple of years, the ESNs are actually going to go away. It's just going to be each address. So I'm trying to figure out how to make that work interim. And I can add the ESMs. It's just going to be at the end of the list of stuff to do.
You know,
So I don't have any really good ideas on that, but I want to talk to the state about it again, because I think they understand the MSAG better than I do, or not the MSAG, the NG 911. They understand that a little better.
is that something the library could help with?
Yeah. Yeah. So I actually meet with them, Bob Cochran. We were doing Zooms just about every week for a while. And after I get done with this iteration, this set of validations, we're probably going to start that again as I move through. It's really complex. It's nothing like what we've been doing. And
And I think Lewis and Clark County switched over to Central Square, so they might be somebody to check, see what if they're doing,
Yeah.
how they're doing it. And
well, third Thursday of every month, there's a Zoom meeting with local government level GIS people. And so that's generally when I have contact with like Lewis and Clark, Madison County. And it's in the cool thing about Broadwater, like their whole county is in a fire. Everybody in that county is in a fire district. And I don't know what it would take to do that here. We don't have that many people that are out. And it'd be really nice.
I think it's more areas than people.
Yeah,
Like if you had I think there's some with the railroad, there's some with property that people own, but not an actual residence.
yeah. So they just were showing me their, I have layers for all this, and the state showed me Broadwater's fire layer. Yeah, and everybody is in a fire response zone. And for a fire is gonna respond to them anyway. That's my other question that I need to kind of talk to the state and talk to Doug about. And just see if there's a way to make that work. But
You
Yeah.
could, I think. So many of them, like Lewis and Clark County. Everything that's outside of a fire district, they're supposed to be a county fire department.
Yep.
And somebody is the chief of it. I think in Lewis Clark County, I think it's Leo Dutton.
okay,
He's the actual chief of whatever's outside of a fire district.
Yep, then he has to send whatever fire district's closest to it, yeah, like mutual aid type thing.
Because there's a lot of areas where the fire chief could say, we're not responding to this.
Yep.
yeah,
If it's out of his district, that's kind of up to him.
Hmm.
The fire departments here are really good about it.
yeah. But they're not getting money for
Right,
those
exactly.
We can charge
places,
them though.
can you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess that's kind of and I should explain ESNs, because you guys, are you familiar with ESNs? So ESN is it's emergency service zone number. So ESN and ESCs are kind of interchangeable terms. But what it says is this house has this fire, this ambulance, this law enforcement. And so, yeah, and then everything so you'll have, this house can have this law enforcement, this fire, this ambulance, and the one over here can have different ambulance, or they can be in a different fire, Or, so there's a lot of these little patchwork pieces, but I have a layer for ambulance coverage, I have a layer for fire coverage, I have a layer for law enforcement. And so then when those are combined, that's how you get the ESC. And then all this stuff ties back into elections, once I get the address validations, because with the geo-enabled elections, now the address that people use to register to vote has to line up with what I have in my ESN or my addressing database, basically the location. So there's now a location tied to each address, which didn't used to be the case. So there's that. So once I get done with the NG 911 stuff, then I work with Ginger and Stephanie to work through the geo-enabled elections. So it's just data crunching. Go out and map anymore.
Yeah.
I used to have to, before Google Earth, I used to have to like actually drive down to Whitehall and straighten out address problems. Now I just get on Street View. And I'm like, okay,
Too convenient, huh?
it is, yeah. So that's where we stand on that. Holly's working on the website. We're in maintenance mode on everything. Bruce. So we're heading into the time of year, the way Bruce and I work at Holly comes 50-50 out of our budget, but Bruce needs her more in the summer. And then that's offset by, I get her more in the winter, and that's when we do classes and professional development and all that. So right now we're moving between now and Fright Nights. Holly is mostly working for Bruce, and then I fill in the part of the deal there is I fill in too. When they need extra, like the fair. And so that's pretty much it, the fair. And because things always have all this last minute stuff that people don't think about until, oh my God,
Yeah.
we need signs for all the rabbit cages. Okay. So yeah, I really don't think that fair would happen without Holly, because she does the fair book and the never ending registrations and all that.
Yeah.
So, and I just go wherever they send me. So it's really her show.
Good.
But yeah, so it was fun last year. So last year was my second year. The first year was scary. Last year, everything went really well. So, yeah.
Good. It's getting better and better.
It does. It just, yeah, it's coming off.
Mhm.
It just comes off like a clockwork now.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. So that's good.
Very good, yeah. Sounds like she's got enough to do, huh, Dan? We probably don't need to give her anything else.
No, I'm not gonna ask her now. I was gonna ask her something, but I'm.
Is it interesting? Will it give me a break from NG 911?
Yeah.
People
Yeah.
are always like, sorry to interrupt you. And I'm like, no, please interrupt me.
No, I know we mentioned it a long time ago or something, but the possibility of a map for the districts or the commissioners' districts
Yeah,
when you have time.
okay. Yep, I need to do that. I remember that now.
Well, you got till December, what can I say, right?
Yeah.
Every year, but whatever works, you know.
And I've been doing some graphics design stuff for Bruce. Holly's kind of passed me up because she does a lot of that. I think I'm a little better at the advanced software stuff, but in terms of the actual design work, she's definitely kind of the lead on that now. We've kind of flip-flop on that.
Has your website got your point of contact right now? Cause I'm taking Tom called you yesterday from down there in Whitehall, cause he called me wanting your phone number.
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know. I told him I wasn't sure. I thought it was on the website.
Yeah, and that was about he's got a whole bunch of historical map stuff. And last time I talked to him, I still had the large format scanner, which I don't have anymore. it crapped out. It used to be that clerk and recorders had scanner and a plotter, and
Mhm.
I had a scanner and a plotter, and what we said is, I'll take the plotter, you take the scanner,
Oh,
and you scan stuff for me and I'll print stuff for you. It was kind of stupid. We don't use them nearly as much as we used to, because stuff is just more and more digital.
mhm.
So we just said, instead of buying two of everything, let's just buy one and share. And so I have a really nice plotter now, Craig. It's not like that. I switched to Canon. And this afternoon, my very last piece of HP equipment will be out of our office. We have an HP band going downstairs. I just got a new Canon desk printer. Although I caught Holly trying to sign for it. And I'm like, no, you already have two printers. No, so my HP, which seems to have a permanent paper jam, is
Out the door.
out the door.
Perfect.
So, yeah. So we should be good there. So we do, so Holly does have, Bruce covered this pretty cool printer. It's like a plotter. It'll only do like up to 24 inches, I think, and it's just 4 color tanks.
Mm.
But it's really good for making, when they're making signs and stuff, you need temporary signs. It's a lot cheaper to do them on hers. It'll take roll paper. And it'll do 11 by 17 oversizes. The color on it's not, like, you wouldn't want to print an aerial photo on there. You'd want to use plotter for that. But it's really nice for doing signs and that kind of stuff. And so oversized stuff that we don't want to run through the plotter. And so, but it's a really nice plotter. It prints aerials and you can actually read them. You can print aerials on plain paper and read them. So it ain't cost that much more than my HP piece of junk. So.
Good.
And the HP, I don't know if I told you this, so the ink cartridges are, for the HP, were over $100 a piece. And when that plotter quit, I always keep a set on hand, so I don't run out in the middle of a fire or something.
Mhm.
So when that plotter quit, I had like 4 of those cartridges brand new on hand, take 6. And I didn't want to do the sunk cost fallacy where I bought another HP just because I had those cartridges, but I also didn't want to throw them away. So during one of our county level GIS meetings, I said, does anybody still have this plotter? And it turned out Lake County had one. And I boxed them up and shipped them up there to them. So they didn't go in the trash. And we got a Canon. So I was really happy somebody took them.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, I pulled the ones in the plotter were still fairly full, and I pulled those out and put tape over the nozzles and put them in Ziploc bags and sent those also. So
Good.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
recycling right there.
it
It's
was,
good to help if you can.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I just did not want to throw them out.
Just send them a bill.
What?
Just send them a bill.
No. I'm like, please, somebody please take these so I don't feel guilty about switching brands. And so it was interesting to me to see, because that was kind of the standard plotter that all GIS departments had. So it was kind of interesting for me to see that I only had one taker on the cartridges. So apparently I'm not the only one that's jumping ship.
Get rid of them.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So that was glad to know I made the right decision on that. But anyway, I don't know. Anything else?
I don't think so.
Com
think
district
so.
map?
It's good.
Yep. They stood over there. Holly and I, when we're doing tedious stuff, would listen to podcasts. And we both developed this addiction to like true crime podcasts. And so, yeah, and then we wonder why we can't sleep or we have nightmares.
Yeah, that's right.
So,
Yep.
so anyway, we're good.
We're good.
Good, thank you. Appreciate it.
Alrighty. Yep.
You too.